Hello again, guys. We are going to directly go to the third law of motion, and that is law of interaction. Okay, imagine that you are playing baseball and have just hit the ball. The bat exerts a force on the ball that causes it to move. At the same time that the bat exerts a force on the ball also exerts an opposite force on the bat. Okay, so the same is true when you lean against a wall. Mm. The wall pushes back on you with a force equal to that which you exert on the wall. If the force exerted by the wall does not exist, you will collapse with the wall. Okay, these were probably some situations which led Isaac Newton, to formulate the third law of motion. So here is the third law of motion, the law of interaction, states that when an object exerts a force on another object, the second object exerts on the first a force of the same magnitude but in the opposite direction. Okay. So, or simply, ito po yung explanation. For every force action or for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, kung itutulak ko ang wall, the wall will also push me back. Okay. So, may force ang wall. Okay. Another example. Here are some examples. Okay. For the third law, or the law of interaction, number 1. A man is propelled upward and then down into the swimming pool as he jumps on the diving board. He exerts a downward force on the diving board, and the diving board simultaneously exerts an equal force on the man but in an upward direction. Diba? If you are going to dive, we are going to jump on the diving board. So, the diving board will exert a force upward and the man will exert a force downward. So, may law of interaction na nangyayari. So, number 2, walking is possible. As you walk, you exert a force against the floor, down and backward. So, when we walked, may law of interaction na nangyayari. The floor exerts a force back and causing you to move forward. Okay. Number 3, it hurts when you slap a person. Kanina, we've read the MBCA booster. So, the amount of force you exert in slapping a face is the same amount of the force that the face exerts on the hand. So, pag slap sa face, yung face natin will also exert a force opposite of our hand. So, you feel the pain in your hand too. Number 4, a fireman has to hold on tightly to a fire hose. The hose will fly backwards, or if you're not going to hold the hose firmly, so it will fly backwards as water shoots out from it. So, another example of law of interaction. Okay, so very clear. Ito po yung tinatawag natin, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The following will be the application of the 3 laws of motion of Isaac Newton. So, let's read together. Newton's 3 laws of motion are considered part of the fundamental laws of science. Kung what is happening in our surroundings, the phenomenon and all its in motion and not in motion, the 3 laws of motion is the fundamental. We can see it every day, everywhere. We can see it everywhere. So, the first law is the basis of designing safety devices, such as headrest. Nakikita po natin ito sa cars or sa mga vehicles and seat belts. Cars are equipped with headrests to prevent whiplash injuries during rear-end collision. Kung may mga banggaan, our head will be it will be safe if we have this device, the headrest. The seat belts are designed to hold a person steady in a seat of a car. Okay? Kung nasa airplane or other vehicles, when the vehicle suddenly stops, so may seat belt tayo. That's why it's created for us to be safe and protected. Automatic inflating bags. May inflating bags inside the car. Also helps reduce danger to passengers by preventing them from being slammed right into the windshield. So the structural design of the race car is based on Newton's second law. The race cars are designed such as their mass is reduced, which by Newton's second law is directly proportional to the net force but inversely proportional to the acceleration of the car. So as you can see, yung race car, hindi siya masyadong malaki, no? So less ang mass ng race car. Kaya the second law, 'di ba? The law of acceleration, mas mataas yung acceleration, mas faster yung object kaysa because its mass is lesser. So ito yon. This is the second law of motion, and the structural design of the race car is an example. And the application for the second law of motion. And for the last one, the operation of rocket engines is based on the third law of motion. Acting force is provided by the burned fuel ejected from the combustion chamber. The downward force or the thrust produces an equal but opposite upward force. So, makikita natin sa mga rockets, may burned fuel at the end part or the lower part kasi may downward force na mangyayari at saka may upward force sa rocket. If the force is stronger enough to overcome the force of gravity, then the rocket is accelerated upward. So if you're going to look at it in our search engine, here is the example. Let's try to look at an example of, okay, here. For the first law of motion, titingnan po natin yung seat belts, yung headrest, and then another is the inflating balloon. Yan. So, may inflatable seat belts na, oh. Okay, ito po yung example of our airbag and seat belts. And so as you can see, if there is a collision happens, so let's just try to see kung anong mangyayari. Yung seat belt at saka yung may inflation bag, automatic inflation bag, ito po yun. Okay, so this is an example for the application for the first law, and that is inertia. Okay, let's proceed to the second application of the law of acceleration. So ano yun? The structural design of a sports car. Ayan. So this is the design of the um, race racing car, something. Race car based on law of acceleration. Okay. So this is it. As you can see, that race cars are not heavy. They are just small cars. Mm. Mm-mm. They are making a turn of constant speed of 100. Mm-mm. Are these cars accelerating while they make this turn? So if they turn, okay. So, sige daw. Let's try. Yes, the car's accelerating even if in this certain uh, okay. Okay. Because there is a change in direction. Mm, okay. So this is an example of the second law of motion. And then the third law of motion example is the rocket in based in the law of interaction. Okay, so as you can see, there is an action reaction happening when ayan. Mm. So, okay, I think you cannot hear the sound, but um, it should go against the gravity of the earth. Okay. Mm-mm. Okay, so that is an example of our third law of motion, and that is a law of interaction. Okay, so we're done. We are ready to answer the apply the concepts, and for us to answer, we'll just follow the direction for the true or false. That is the first part, 1 to 10, and then identification. We are going to identify what law of motion is it. The law of inertia, the law of acceleration, or the law of interaction. So that is the answer for the identification. And then for the last part, we are going to solve the following problems completely. So let's try to identify the given, and then the formula, and then the solution, and let's encircle the final answer. So that's it. This serve as our answer for the venture a while ago, and thank you for listening to our um, today's topic. Hope you have learned something. God bless everyone.